In today's video, we're going to go over Activity 233, CAD Material Appearances and Analysis. So let's get started. I have this little peg open right here. The first thing we need to do before we do anything is we need to make sure that our settings are correct. So I'm going to go up here into the top right corner onto my profile. I'm going to click on it, left click on it, and go to Preferences. And once my window opens up, we need to come down here to Units and Value Display. And what I want to do is this is going to be the most important one. We're going to come down here where it says Material Unit Display. And we're going to hit that little down arrow. We need to make sure that this says English, inches, pounds, mass, and PSI. It's the second from the bottom. So we need to make sure that that is all set. The next thing we need to do is we're going to come down to Default Units. And we're going to go back to design, make sure this is set at inches. And once we do that, we can hit apply and we'll hit OK. And we'll be all set to work on our material. So the first thing you can see that I have a material here, it's kind of blue. I can come up here to where my part is over in my browser. I can right click and I can down here to properties. Now this says my material is actually steel. If I come down here, you'll see the mass is 1.71. The density is 0.008. So we're going to change that. So let's close this window. Next, we're going to change the color or the appearance first. So I can do that two different ways. I can come up here to modify and scroll down to appearance, or I can come back over to my part over here in the browser and I can right click and hit appearance. I'm going to go to modify. I'm used to doing that. So I'm going to go down here to appearance and my appearance window opens up. So right now, if I close everything up, I'm going to scroll down a little bit and I'm going to find plastic. I'm going to find something very close. And guess what? ABS is very close to my PLA. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to left click. I'm going to hold my mouse button down. I'm going to drag it and drop it on top of that part. All this is doing is actually giving it the appearance. It's not giving the physical properties like the density. Next, I want to create my own. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to come up here to the ABS. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say duplicate. Now, I want to make sure I pick my duplicate. If you see this is ABS white, this is ABS white with a 1 after it. This is my duplicate. So I want to right click on that and select edit. So up here, I want to give it a new name. We're going to call it PLA. And in here, I can change the color of this. For this activity, I'm going to change the color a little bit just so you can see what's happening. So I'm going to give it a little bit of tint of an orange. I can come down here to advanced. I can really get into this. I can make it more transparent, more reflective. Maybe I'll make it just a hair more reflective, and we'll take the roughness and I'll smooth it out a little bit. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to hit OK. And you can kind of see it changed a little bit up here. I'm going to left click on this. I'm going to drag it on top of my part. And now you can kind of see that my part turned color a little bit. Next, I want to do is I'm going to come up here and I'll right click on that and I want to add that to my favorites because I'm going to be using that quite a bit. So now I've just created my own appearance. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to close my window. Next, we want to talk about physical properties. So I'm going to come up here to modify. And I'm going to go down here to physical material. And remember, this is still steel, so that's what it's showing what steel would look like. And once it opens up, next I'm going to go up to modify. I'm going to slide down to physical materials. And you can see this looks like steel, so we're going to change that. Once my window opens up, I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to select plastic. I'm going to grab ABS again. I'm going to slide that and put it on top here. I'm going to do the same thing as I did with my colors, but I'm going to do a little bit more with it. So the next thing I want to do is come up here to my ABS plastic. I'm going to right click and duplicate. Again, I'm going to put my cursor on it. I can see that's one, so that's the one I want to edit. You got to be careful with this. I'm going to right click and select edit. Well, I want to give it the name of PLA. And density, I'm not going to worry about right now. We will change it in a second. I'm going to go to advanced. And up here for description, we are going to call that polylactic acid. And the type, yep, we're going to leave it at plastic. For appearance, again, I could change it. I'm going to make sure that I name this PLA. And my description is going to be PLA again. And we're going to leave it for keywords for plastic. In here, I can come back here and I can change the color of what the material would actually look like, but I'm going to leave it as is. I'm going to go back up to my physical tab on the top, and this is where I'm going to start giving it all the physical properties. Now, if your windows don't open up here, make sure that you open up basic thermal, mechanical, and strength. So for information, the name, we're going to call it polylactic acid. Description again, we'll call it polylactic acid. Keywords will be PLA. And maybe I'll change the name. I'm going to go make the name PLA also. All right, next we are going to start changing some of our properties. The first one we're going to change is our thermal conductivity. So I'm going to change that out to 1.044. And instead of -7, we are going to make that -4. Make sure we get that right. For specific heat, we are going to change that to 0.430. For thermal expansion, we are going to actually leave that the same. They're both pretty close to being the same. For Young's modulus, we're coming here and we're going to make that 5.070. Poseidon's, we are going to change that to 0.39. For Shear's modulus, we're going to change that to 3.480. We are going to change our density to 0.47. We're going to leave our dampening coefficient the same. We're going to come down here to our yield strength. We're going to kind of leave our yield strength the same, but our tensile strength, we are going to actually change. We are going to make our tensile strength 7.250. And once we get all that in, we're going to hit apply. And then we just close down this window. I'm going to come up here in my PLA and I'm going to add it to my favorites. And now I can come down to my library. I can check my favorites library. And there's my PLA. I'm going to left click, hold my mouse button down, drag it on top of my part. And now to kind of check after I'm done, I'll hit close. I can come back over to my part over here. I can right click on it. I can hit properties. And my properties window will open up. And you can see my material is PLA. If I scroll down, you can kind of see that my physical properties, my density, everything, we're looking fairly good. And we'll hit close. And that is how you change the physical properties and the appearance of a part in Autodesk Fusion 360. I hope you enjoyed this video.